Man, I would love to have one of these plasma tables. I can afford it, but I don't know where I would put it. That's the problem. Have you ever been on Facebook or online and seen an ad for a plasma table and wondered that exact question? You know you can afford it, you can put it on a credit card, you can make payments, you get cash back on the credit card. That's not a problem, but it's where do you put it? Well, that's the problem I had. As you know, if you're part of this channel and you follow along, I own a 2x2 Eastwood plasma table and I have absolutely loved it. But when I bought it, I was gonna have to put it at my place of business. Now I'm self-employed and I own a shop, but it wasn't practical. So this video, I'm gonna show you how you can put your plasma table that you just purchased or you're about to go purchase after this because you're gonna love this idea, at your house in somewhere that you never would have imagined. All right, so we're gonna take this average shed. Normally we have the golf cart in here, lawnmowers, bikes that are over there on the fence, but we're gonna try to just take this shed that I didn't do great on organization when I first built this thing, and we're gonna try to turn this into a fabrication shop and really pack everything in. Thinking plasma table over here. Of course, we have to do a fireproof corner and air compressor over here in like an insulated room, and give this side with the wife's like the gardening stuff, pots, floor mats, lawn stuff, everything storage, tons of storage on this side, and then we're going to utilize some space up top. So let's get some stuff moved out of here. Now, I searched YouTube for this originally. When I wanted to do this video, I searched YouTube up and down. Why hasn't nobody put a plasma table in a shed? I understand that it could be a fire hazard, but if we do it safely, we should be able to put a plasma table in a home shed. This opens up opportunities for tons of people like myself that live in HOA communities where you can't exactly just build a giant garage in your backyard. Okay, this, you can take any shed that you can pretty much map out a corner for. You can pay somebody to get electricity to that shed, and you can put you a plasma table safely in your shed. So I completely reorganized all of this. Added, that shelf was originally there, that one was there, but I added one in the center to put all the wife's stuff over there. Everybody has landscape and stuff like that. We have storage totes now down low, 2 window units here, 2 lawnmower. Bikes are the hardest thing to store. I don't really want the headroom. I have pulled the golf cart out. The golf cart easily comes in and out, so that's the only thing that's out. But once the golf cart's out, as you can see, you have lots of room and it's easy to pull out. Now this is the corner that we're working on and focusing on. But we moved our wood storage up top like that and consolidated it, extension ladder across the wall. Biggest secret here is the upstairs, is putting that. So I've got a lot of wood up top, okay, to maximize your space. So that's half of it. I have got to maintain, you know, the family stuff, yard stuff like that, being my attached garage to my house, has absolutely no home stuff in it at all. So this is the half. We've got the air compressor over here. All right, now I'm about to pull this stuff out and put insulation in here. We're going to put fire retardant insulation and waterproof or water resistant insulation in here. I have put this wall, just some scrap pieces of wood on here, because we're going to insulate as much as we can right in here to cut down on the sound from my neighbors. All right, here's the product that we're using for the insulation: fire resistance, sound absorbent, water repellent. And one thing I can already realize is I did get 16-inch on center insulation, because that's what normal stuff's built at. But I forgot when I built this, or when I paid to have this built, they actually put it 2 foot on center. I wish I would have checked to see if they made a 2 foot on center, but I'm not going to take it back. I'll just cut it, being we have such a little amount to do. All right, first pass up. I did it like this. Originally I was thinking about standing it up, but again, mine don't break on 4 foot. No matter if I pull it that way or that way, it doesn't break on 4 foot. So I had to lay the rock traditionally, and I'm just gonna have to roll with it. I wanted to stand it up just because of having no joint across that top right there to deal with, but we're gonna tape these joints somehow. We're not gonna mud this because of it just being in the shed, and I want to be able to unscrew the screws if I want to take it off or something. But we'll either do like heating and air aluminum tape or duct tape in the corners or something. We're going to do something to make sure that we don't have a little spark off the plasma table that's going to go inside the crack and sit there and smother, because that's what we don't want. We want this little boxed in area to completely be sealed off so we don't have to worry about the backside, and all we have to do is watch the front side. So this is all the pieces we have left. I only bought 2 sheets. Trying to do this on a budget. If you don't do this on a budget, it kind of defeats the purpose of buying these materials. You could then just buy aluminum or steel, like really thin, like 20 gauge. If you can afford it, the 4 foot by 8 foot, and just skim everything in metal. The metal, I think that's gonna be 8th or 14 gauge or something. It's gonna be 150 bucks. So with all this, with the insulation, I think I was $210. The insulation was the most important or most expensive. The Durarock for the bottom was $13 a sheet. We only need 2 of them. This fire rated sheetrock was only $25 a sheet. You could get non-fire rated, but I decided I want to just go ahead and do that. So we're gonna have to piece this together so we don't have to buy another $25 piece of sheetrock, hopefully. All right, so for the Durarock, we're gonna put this side up that don't have print on it. One side don't have print, one side does have your print on it. There's not actually a face or backside on the cement board. You can run towel on both sides of it. So for looks, I'm just gonna leave the printed side down. That way it kind of looks like a finished floor, sort of concrete floor, I guess. Now this is definitely not the strongest stuff. If you tiled over top of this, it would be pretty amazing as long as you didn't drop anything on it. But it's definitely, the more it crumbles, okay? It's cement board. So this is definitely not your most durable option. So this is just going to be here just for the time being, and if I decide I want to change it later, I can. All right, so I've got all the edges, that edge all the way around to there, and the seam, I sealed it up with this stuff, which is actually for like roofing, okay? So it's some pretty good stuff. It sticks to concrete, asphalt, all that kind of stuff, vinyl siding. It's for literally when they do roofing. All I'm trying to do is, if a spark hits the ground and rolls, we stop it, okay? A spark, obviously, if you're doing plasma cutting, then you know that a spark doesn't stay hot for long. It cools off pretty freaking fast. So as long as it don't hit nothing combustible, it's gonna cool off. So we've just went and sealed up, you see right there, and I slicked it out with my fingers. We've just sealed up the edges in the floor. That's all we've done, because it's gonna be hard to get anything to stick to the cement board. And I did that one right there. So I think that's gonna be fine in that big gap right there. For all this, I'm pretty sure we're gonna just run HVAC tape. I think that's gonna be our best bet. It's pretty sticky, or the aluminum tape for flashing around windows. We might grab that and just do that, trim out all around the window and all the seams with the aluminum tape. Might be better. Now, while editing this video, I realized that we did not go over the edge of the Durarock around on the floor. So around the edge of the Durarock, I simply ran a little, it was like 3/4 by 3/4 strip of treated wood, just so when you're walking, you don't step on the edge of the Durarock. If you step on the edge of this Durarock, it is going to crack, it is going to crumble, and it is going to fall apart, because it's not made to be exposed. There's supposed to be tile over top of it. So you got to run you something around the edge. Be mindful that you don't want any sparks or anything to get caught in that edge. So when you're figuring out what you want to run around the edge, just think about the spark. That's all you have to do. This whole entire project, think about where the spark is going to go and where is it going to sit, and make sure that it's not going to potentially cause yourself a fire. All right, so for this area, I did put a piece of OSB here and an OSB back there, just the 4 foot up. All right, I should have pulled the camera out before I did it, but I put the OSB there just to help the insulation from buckling out, being we're not in 16 inches on center. Now this one is 16 inches, so it fits in here nice and tight like it's supposed to. I don't want the top covered. This will still definitely cut down on sound, but I really want the sound hitting the soft insulation. I need to put one up here to help. I went ahead and pushed that back in. Got a hooked air line up still. It's ready to plug in and fire up though. As far as us rolling on the plasma table, all we got to do is plug into here, But that's it. Overheating, if we start to have an issue where it gets too hot and it trips the breaker in the summertime, then we will probably build a little shelf right here to put a box fan on, so it's blowing a fan across it in there and kind of pushing the heat out or sucking it out, or a shelf on the backside for a box fan, whatever we need to do. Being we are going with a 80-gallon compressor, it's not going to have to work hard at all. Like, it's going to be cake to cut the little runs that we cut. Now, it shouldn't overwork, meaning it shouldn't generate no more heat than normal. Some old pieces of shoe molding work pretty good to go across to help hold you up. Piece right there, piece right there. That way it don't sag, and that way I don't have to put nothing across the top. They do make rods for putting insulation in, like all kinds of different things to support insulation, but we're trying to do this on a budget. Loading up some metal to move it. This is currently where my plasma table is at. So 4,400 square feet with the office, but I wanted it at my house. So this is the setup that I currently have. I mean, it's a nice setup where the lights and everything on it, but we're moving this setup home. So it's not a matter of I don't have space or nowhere to put it. It's literally a matter of I just want it in my backyard. And with this setup, I just want to point out that we've already been cutting against drywall. We've already been cutting around wood. Now, yes, it's a concrete floor. There's grease and oils on the floor over here. Wash machine over there. So sparks, we're already kind of used to looking out for sparks rolling and, stuff possibly catching on fire. So this is not like it's going to be something new to have to monitor. It's not like we're running a plasma table out in the middle of a all metal and concrete shop, which most people DIY. You're not going to have the luxury of having a plasma table just set up out in the middle of nowhere. You're going to actually have it in your home garage, probably in the corner or against the sheetrock, where you are going to have to look for sparks and fire hazards. All right, so we got it all set up, and I'm super happy with how this turned out. All right, so we got everything plumbed in. Everything works. Our compressor is plumbed into the house. We just don't have the hose reel inside the house yet. The plasma table works. I haven't cut with it, but air is to it. It turns on, it powers up, and everything. Let me run through the setup, the final setup with you real fast. So we got the floors down. We've got the plasma table down. We did level the plasma table. I think these legs are adjustable, but the easiest thing is to literally just shim it like that. So I just got some scrap metal and shimmed it up with a level versus trying to turn the wheels and level it and all that. So we've got a pretty good setup here. I'm really freaking stoked about this. Most important is fire extinguisher. If you're going to do something like this, you got to have fire extinguisher. We've got aluminum back here because I don't really cut aluminum. It's lightweight, so it's easy. It's very easy to get out. And then I've got all my steel stacked up over here. So I got the really long piece, and then I got a bunch of 1/4-inch plates and 3/16, and then the real thin 1/8-inch stuff since it's not heavy. I'm thinking I might build me a metal rack for underneath there that it slips in. But for right now, that'll work. I put down a thin piece of metal on the floor to slide the metal across in and out, because if not, it'll tear up your cement board. So you definitely got to protect your cement board. And then I put a piece of aluminum against the wall, so as we're sliding this stuff in and out, just a scrap triangle piece of aluminum, it won't tear into the sheetrock. So I moved the screen up here this time because I wanted to get everything off of the table. Now, unfortunately, with the Eastwood 2x2, they don't provide you enough of cable to move the actual computer away. So this is the only lead. It's just this short lead right here. Okay, this is all you got, and this slides back and forth. So you got to be able to keep that moving. So I had to put the computer back there, but the screen, you got plenty of lead. Now I did take it off of its mount, and I put it up here because I was tired of sparks running across it or water getting on it or anything like that. So when we flip it on right here, come up here, and it powers up. Put a couple little angle brackets in to lock it in place, but super easy if you need to take it out. And then went ahead and put another little board across the top just so that protect stuff that's up there from messing up the screen or anything. So that's out of the way. Now we do have this little tiny water trap. It's nothing fancy. And then we got a 90-degree air fitting block going into the back of it. So to power the plasma cutter is just right here on the back. You just flip it with your hands and come around here, and it cuts right on. So not hard to access that, not hard to read the air pressure or nothing like that. For airline, I went with normal air hose so that it's movable. That way there's not a lot of money in anything expensive. and I just hose clamped it up, over, and down. This is not really a how-to. This is just kind of get your brain working so that you can kind of figure out maybe some ideas for your own property. Now, the only thing that we have added to this since we finished it is I have ordered fire curtains, welding blankets you can get local at like Harbor Freight, but they actually make fire curtains. So I purchased these on eBay right here. They weren't expensive at all right? And what we're gonna do as soon as they get in next week is we're just gonna hang rod up like you would hang a curtain from. We're gonna design something to hang some rod up in the ceiling, and we're gonna hang the curtains in around there. That way it kind of stops the sparks from shooting outside of the shed. We did a first cut on that, building this project right here. So this video is gonna be next. This thing turned out amazing. And when I was cutting this, I noticed that the sparks were kind of heading towards the door. It's wintertime here, so the grass is dry, and I don't like that. No sparks went outside the door. I watched every single one of them die off before they ever made it to the door, but it was still in the back of my head that we need to improve this. So we're gonna just simply hang up some fire curtains, and that's gonna contain every single spark right there to the corner of this video. If you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button for me, or at least the like button. It helps me a lot to grow this channel and provide y'all with more helpful stuff. And make sure you stay tuned, because we're gonna put this plasma table to work to customize the 72-inch Harbor Freight toolbox in an upcoming video. And this thing turned out amazing, and I was super excited to have the plasma table at the house and be able to cut these parts one at a time as I designed it in my head to the laptop to the actual welder. Thanks y'all, and I'll catch you in the next video.